This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is the Ramble, and I'm Alex. That's the big red letters, and this is the Ramble. That's the white ones. We're here till midnight tonight. This is the time of the week I absolutely enjoy. I really have. I have actually gained a greater repartee with you than I ever did in the old days.
Right.
You know, I mean.
Well, we're both not on drugs.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Of course, mine was an upper called cocaine, and yours was a downer called heroin, right?
That's correct.
And quite frankly, I think it was probably easier for you to get off heroin than it was for me to get off cocaine.
Why is that?
I don't know. They say that, for instance, getting off cocaine is easier than quitting smoking.
Physically, mentally, no.
Mentally, no?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because, here's the thing about the heroin. Heroin only has a 3-day detox. After 3 days has passed, it's left your system. So what's left is the desire for it.
Well, also, you don't sleep for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you try to sleep?
Sure. You just don't.
You just lie there with your eyes wide open, right?
Pretty much, for days on end.
You know what happens with me, though, on a lot of things? I think I'm not sleeping, but I really am.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, haven't you ever had times where you thought you weren't sleeping, and all of a sudden you looked at the clock and it was 5 hours later?
Yes.
And
I have had that.
And you didn't think you had fallen asleep, but you had.
Right.
You had.
Right.
But
Right.
I guess you didn't dream or something like that. So how long was it before you finally said, "I think I've kicked this thing"? You know.
I don't know if you ever completely kick the thing. You always have that thought in your mind. Like I went and visited a friend of mine in the hospital recently.
Yeah.
And he was all drugged up, and he was all nodding out, and that made me Jones. Even after 16 years, it still made me Jones.
It still made you Jones.
Yeah.
I never have. A lot of people tell me that after a certain amount of years, okay, they still have a desire for a cigarette.
Sure.
I don't have any desire for a cigarette.
Right.
I've smoked joints, but that's not the same as smoking.
Well, it's smoking. It's just not cigarette.
Right. You don't get that nicotine in you. But somehow, once I quit, I said I quit. You probably were around when I quit. I quit when I was at the Quake.
Really? Yeah, then I was around.
Yeah, a guy came in one morning, and he said, "We're going to do a test on you to see how your lungs are because you're a smoker." Right. And I was one of those people who I was in my 40s, who said, I haven't had any effects from smoking. It's terrific, Right. And he tested my lungs, and he said, "You have a diminished lung capacity." I said, "Really?" And he said,
"And that was a wake-up for you?"
Well, that was the first. I always said to myself, I'll quit smoking when I find that smoking is impeding my health. Okay.
Right.
And I did, and that was the wake up call. That was the thing and so the next day, I decided I was going to quit, and I went out and I bought. They had things called Bantron in those days. I don't know if they still have it. What it was a pill you took that replaced nicotine in your body. So I started taking them, and I didn't have the desire to smoke a cigarette. And then I slowly weaned myself off the Bantron. Bingo, I quit smoking.
Really?
And yeah, I'm kind of like my father. My father was a musician, and he used to drink a lot. I mean, a lot. Because you would go and play clubs, and then somebody would say, "Buy the band a drink."
Right.
Right? And by the end of the night, everybody was sloshed, except my father. He could hold his liquor.
Right.
One day he suddenly realized that he couldn't hold his liquor. That he was starting to get really drunk when he would drink.
Right.
So, boom, he just stopped. He just
Really?
said, That's it. And he stopped. So I think I had that same genetic code in me that makes me able to quit anything I might start. I mean, I had a pretty decent cocaine habit at one point.
Really?
And I moved down to Florida, and at the Florida border, I took my last snort, and that was it.
Right.
You know, about a couple of years later, I had one of those New Year's parties that I would have at my house after we did the show at the Palace of Fine Arts.
Right.
And I bought about a gram of Coke for the party.
Right.
And I figured, I haven't done Coke in such a long time. The trouble with Coke was you use Coke and you have a good time on it, and after a while, it doesn't do anything new for you.
No.
And so I figured, hey, I haven't done it in how many years? 3 years. I'll do some tonight, right? I did some that night. And it wasn't like all of a sudden I got that buzz all over again.
Right.
My body kind of picked up where it left off.
Right. That's exactly right.
And I didn't get any. I didn't have any. I didn't get any push. Any. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm having trouble with words lately with this.
You didn't get euphoric.
I didn't get my buzz off of it.
Right.
know? And so therefore, I just quit it completely. I just said, this doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Right.
Just
right.
It just reminded me how bad it was.
Right.
So,
right. You, like you said, you started right where you left off.
Exactly. So I let the rest of the people at the party do all the Coke, and they had fun.
There you go.
But those were the days in San Francisco where Coke was a big deal.
Huge.
Huge.
And it was everywhere.
I got started on it at a radio station I was at, KMEL, and we had a general manager. And after the show, he said, "Good show, close the door."
Right.
And they put out a couple of lines, and I'd snort them.
Right.
And after a while, I got used to that,
Sure.
And what was nice was I never had to pay for it because the boss was always giving it to me.
Right. Right.
But then I left there, and I started buying the stuff, and I kept doing it. I guess I was doing it at Live 105 for most of the time that I was there the first time.
Right. Right.
And then when I moved to Florida, I quit. Now, that's strange that you would move to Florida and quit cocaine, ladies.
Right. No kidding, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. So I just quit cocaine and
well, also back. When you were in Florida, you didn't go looking for it, so you had no connections.
Well, I could have, though. I got to know a lot of comics down there and stuff like that.
Right.
And I would go places and they would have Coke, and I would maybe do a little bit of it, but I wasn't. In fact, one comic was actually a Coke dealer, and I didn't buy anything from him.
Really?
Yeah. I just said I've quit, so I've quit, But I came back to San Francisco, and the show wasn't as good as it had been.
Right.
Because I would use cocaine. See, I mean, I did a morning show.
Right.
And with a morning show, you got to get up at, ungodly hour. My show went on at 6, and I had to get up at 5.
Right.
And I was very much a nocturnal person until I did
We all were, Alex.
Until I did a morning show. And just because you start becoming a diurnal person, you get up early at 5, doesn't mean your body has changed. Because anytime I was suddenly out of work, I was up till 4 in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very nocturnal. Still am.
Man, when I would do your show, most times I wouldn't even sleep the night before.
Right. I think a lot of comics said that to me. They went out, they party afterwards, because most of you guys didn't get through with the gig until maybe 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And that was the virtue of not being a headliner. Because if you're a headliner, you went till 2 o'clock in the morning when the bars closed.
Right, but you got enough booze at the club. Don't forget, you get your drinks for free at the club.
Yep.
Or you used to. In those days, you did.
You don't anymore?
I don't know.
Yeah, but it was quite a time for me that way, And then I just quit, and I quit all drugs. I mean, I don't. Marjorie loves her pot. You know, she loves to have a joint every now and then.
Right.
And she says, as they say when you're smoking pot, ear. I always said that was it. That was a pot word. Ear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you pass it. But the one thing I liked about pot was how sociable it was.
Right.
Very sociable drug. Whole ritual behind it. You know, you roll the joint. Somebody rolls the joint.
Right.
Then he
you take a hit. You pass it on.
And you pass it on. And it's just like this whole just wonderful thing. You know, the social thing. So I missed that part of it. I had somebody here who loves his pot. Well, I can say his name. A musician, Buddy Love, was here.
Right.
You remember Buddy?
Yeah.
And he was here, and he loves his pot, you know, and that's fine, you know. But I just don't think of it that way anymore. But I realized how, when they were here, how sociable it is. You know, you pass it to the next person. You're all using the same joint.
Right.
You know, you're not. Everybody doesn't get a joint and then just start smoking it. That wouldn't be any fun.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, the pot is so strong these days. I mean, you take 2 hits, you're pretty much good.
Well, what I do when I take pot today is I take it at night if I want to get a little more sleep than I do from my pill that I take, my pregabalin. And I will take a little pot to kind of help it along, you know. But I can't take too much, otherwise it keeps me awake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my head starts thinking about stuff like, you know.
Right. Things to do.
Should I jump out the window or not jump out the window? You know?
Right. Good thought.
No,
good thinking there.
It just, I get negative thoughts, so I take just a little bit, you know.
Right.
But I'm not that much of a pot person anymore. It just doesn't. I become unsociable. I would never take it before we did this interview.
Right.
I would sit here going, huh? Okay. Huh?
Right.
The only time I ever swore on the radio in the old days, when I was on an AM radio station, this was in Minneapolis, I had smoked pot before the show.
Okay.
And somebody called up and said one thing or another, and I said, "Oh fuck, I don't care." I went, what did I just say?
Right.
And I had to push the button on myself because luckily we had a delay.
Did you?
And that was the last time I ever smoked pot before going on the air.
Really?
Yeah. I that's an absolute no-no with me. But then I got...
Well, as long as you know it.
Want me to tell you,
you know?
Yeah. I hope I'm not...
I tell you, I got IM'd again from somebody who listens to the show, watches the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually have viewers.
Oh, we actually have viewers? That's amazing to me. Anyway, here's the thing. I hope I'm not monopolizing the conversation, but I remember that I had this woman I knew. Her name was Ginger J. Walker. I know that's a weird name, J. Walker.
Right.
But Ginger J. Walker. And I never forget her name. And she hung out in Ibiza in Spain with a bunch of people, including Clifford Irving. Remember, he did that whole thing about Howard Hughes. He wrote the fake book. Yeah.
Right.
She was the babysitter to Clifford Irving in Ibiza when he was writing this book. So anyway, I got to know her. And she, in Spain, they had this pill. They were attended to a little blue box called Dormadinas. And what Dormadinas were half a dose of Quaalude.
Oh, really?
Yes. But they sold them over the counter. I was told you could buy them over the counter. First time I went there, it was like I went in to buy condoms. I went, do you have, and then I said, Dormadina. And they went, oh, metaqualone. Yes, they do. Right. And they gave me a box of it. So then I went around to every pharmacy in town, and it's on the shelf. You pick it up, Dormadinas.
Really?
Yeah. So now I wind up in Ibiza, and they're happy that I brought the Dormadinas, And,
I bet.
And I didn't want to take him back with me because I was worried about taking him back to the United States. But I know somebody that came back with 100 boxes of that stuff, and then she said, "Oh, it's Porsueño, it's for sleep."
Right.
And they let her right through because they didn't recognize the drug as Quaaludes.
Right.
So anyway, she comes back from Ibiza with a ton of Quaaludes. I think she was the one that got 100 boxes through.
Right.
And you could sell them here for a decent price. So anyway, she said, "Oh, let's do a Dormadina." I said, I had to do a show at 2, and I went, "What time is it?" "Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Yeah, it'll wear off. It'll wear off by the time I go on the air at 2 in the morning." So I take the Dormadina, and we're eating dinner and so on and so forth. She says, "How you feeling?" I said, "Didn't hit." I said, "Really?" She said, "Here, have another one. Maybe it just was a dud or something like that. You know, these are made in Spain. It could be a dud." So I take another one. About an hour passes. She says, "How you feeling? You high?" I went, "No, I'm not high." She says, "Well, why don't you try another one?" I'm looking at my watch. I'm going, "Well, I got 5 hours till the show, so it'll wear off by 5 hours." "Yeah, give me the Dormadina." I take it. We're now driving back away from where we were eating, which was in Chinatown, and she says, "So, how you feeling?" I said, "Nothing."
Really?
She said, "Really? Nothing?" Well, okay. I leave her off. I go to the station. The show goes on at 2 o'clock. About 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, my guest is Jack Nicholson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we're sitting there at this table doing the interview, and all of a sudden, all 3 Dormadinas hit me at the same time.
I bet.
Somehow, my stomach just said, "We're not ready.
Right.
We're not ready. Hold on. Okay, let him through now."
Right.
And I'm interviewing Jack Nicholson, and during a commercial break, I look at him and I said, "Sorry, man, I'm really wrecked." And he says in that typical Nicholson voice, and I'll remember it rings in my ears, he said to me, "You look it, pal."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And we went back to the interview, and he just started talking and did most of the interview. It was the second time I'd ever interviewed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it wasn't that he wasn't high. He took my girlfriend who was there that night, or a girl I knew, up to the bathroom and gave her some Coke. So, you know, Jack.
So he was loaded too.
Oh, he was loaded too. But you look it, pal. You know.
Was he a nice guy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jack. I once described Jack Nicholson as being the kind of guy who's a big star. And when he walks into a room, you feel you've known him all your life.
Really?
Yeah. He makes it that easy on you. You never felt you were with a big star.
Right.
You know, he was just one of the guys.
All right.
You know, and even that, "You look it, pal," you know, was kind of a very light way of saying I looked wrecked.
Right.
And he was very decent. Very decent. I did him twice, interviewed him twice, and in both cases found him to be delightful. I don't remember the second time as much.
Right. I bet.
I just remember "You look it, pal."
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, but
Quaaludes. Man, I haven't heard the word that Quaaludes. I haven't heard that in years.
that was a great drug for fucking on.
Yes. If you could get a gal to take Quaaludes with you, you were getting laid.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
You know?
It, for sure.
It was a done deal.
Yeah. Now, also, there's another drug. What was it? Ecstasy.
Right.
I had this one woman who said, "You want to try ecstasy?" And I went, "It's kind of dangerous, isn't it?" And then I looked it up, and it isn't dangerous. It is not considered a dangerous drug. No, doctors say ecstasy is it's not habit forming, you know, and all it does is put you in a very euphoric state. You know, you start feeling the couch. You know.
Oh, really?
It's one of those things. You touchy feel, everything's feeling, and when you have sex on it, oh my God. It's wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not.
Never done ecstasy.
I'm not suggesting that anybody go out and do ecstasy, but it is not bad for you. It's not terrible for you. You know.
Well, actually, neither is heroin until you get hooked on it.
Well, that's true. Heroin's okay until you get hooked on it.
Right, right.
Yeah. What is it about heroin that, for instance, attracted you?
I didn't want to be more alert like on cocaine. I wanted to be unalert. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be down and out of it. And also the opiate dreams. You dream a lot on heroin.
Mm-hmm.
While you're still awake, like a waking dream.
What kind of dreams were they?
I don't know how to describe them. Kind of like rolling, swirling dreams.
Somebody said to me once when I asked him to describe how he felt on heroin, he said you can't describe it.
Right. It's like getting dipped in honey from the inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm at a late age now. Maybe I should get on heroin.
I don't think that's a wise choice.
Well, I mean, come on. You know, my doctors will prescribe any drug that I want because they, at your age, how long, if you get addicted to it, so what?
Right.
You know, that's their attitude. So, I mean, it could it could hold for heroin. You know.
Yeah, but I don't think you can get a prescription for it in this country.
Oh. No,
you could go to England and get a prescription for heroin.
You can kind of get a prescription. I mean, the opioids they have out some of them are stronger than heroin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And easily as addictive.
Oh, absolutely. All opioids are addicting.
OxyContin is a major, and it's all
everybody, whether you're an addict or not, you will get addicted to opioids because they get into your bones. They get into your body.
Yeah.
You know, you become physically addicted.
Right.
Whereas, like cocaine, you become mentally addicted. That's why the detox is so easy. There's really no detox physically from cocaine, whereas there's one with heroin.
Yeah, but
or as some people like to call it, heroin.
How long was the detox? So I hear it's very short in comparison to other things. Like methadone, for instance.
Right, methadone gets into your bones.
Yeah.
Heroin gets into your muscles, and methadone gets into your bones.
Yeah.
Methadone is very difficult to get off of.
Supposedly, methadone is a 3-month detox, where heroin is only 1 to 5 days.
No, probably more like 7 days.
Okay, but nevertheless, much shorter.
Right.
A lot of people who
Although the hardest drug to get off of is benzodiazepines. You know, like Valium and Xanax and Klonopin.
Oh, really? I have a whole bottle of Xanax sitting over here.
Well,
I don't take it very often.
Right.
You know, I take it for sleep, but I don't take it because I'm taking the pregabalin now. I don't take it with the pregabalin because it kind of doubles the disorientation. So I don't take it anymore. Although I'm going to the doctor tomorrow and I'm going to get my yearly supply, you know. But
a yearly supply?
Well, he gives me 90, and I use that over a year. And I have 4 bottles sitting in the house I haven't used.
Really? Let me give you my address.
Oh, okay. Do you still do those?
No.
No, you don't do anything.
No.
You don't drink?
No.
You don't.
Well, I drink water. Does that count?
No, yeah, it counts. No, but
so I drink.
You drink coffee, I'm sure.
Yes.
Does coffee wake you up? It doesn't wake me up.
No, not really.
I think it does, but it doesn't really. You know, that's another drug that if you take it for years and years and years, the effect that it has is not as good as when you first take it. You know?
Absolutely.
And everybody has coffee. You can go to any shop and get coffee, but that's a drug.
Sure.
Yeah, it's an upper. And you can be addicted to coffee. I know people who have been addicted to it.
Sure, and when they stop, they get headaches.
Or when they stop to get head. They
stop to get headaches.
Headaches. What do I care about head? I'm 81. They punctured my prostate to a fare thee well. I got nothing
Right.
left. I got nothing left to live for.
Nah, yeah, right.
All right.
Right. So why don't you just lay down and call it a ball game?
Well, the thing is that I'm just so afraid of death. I can't do that. So,
Right. Right.
I'm afraid of. I don't understand the idea of not existing.
So you believe once we're dead, that's it?
That's it. Boom, no more. But there's a chance. There's a very small chance that we go to another dimension. I do believe in string theory, and I do believe in all of that. There are many layers of the universe, and that there's another layer of us in another part of the universe.
Now, do you think you need to be buried, or being cremated is still cool?
I don't think it matters. You dissolve anyway.
Right. Right.
I don't know that is going to carry on to the next. But what I'm saying is we have all these levels of existence. I'm trying to remember what they call them, dimensions. Okay.
Right.
And under string theory, there's something like 7 of them. They figure, and then in all of those, you're living the same life. Okay.
Really?
Yes. And that, but you some of the results may be different.
Right.
Like I may have gone into real estate in dimension 2, or I may have killed myself in dimension 3, or whatever.
Right. Whatever. What if?
And I believe there's a space between the dimensions as well. And if you get trapped in that space, it's kind of hell in a way. But I don't know. I don't know any of this. I will.
No, nobody does.
We will.
Nobody does, because nobody's come back.
We will find it. Nobody's come back to be able to say, "Hey, we're running a little bit over here, but fuck it." Houdini's wife, for years, held seances because after his death, he said, "If there is such a thing," because they were trying to debunk all this.
Right.
If there is such a thing, I will do everything I can to come back to you.
Right.
And
never happened.
None of these seances, she would hold one once a year, and none of them did he appear.
Right.
Anyway, we gotta go, friend.
All right, man.
God, this is I love this. I could talk to you for the rest of the show, and say, fuck all those other people, But
nah.
But I like them, and I want to have them say what they gotta say.
Right.
But anyway, we'll get together again with you next week.
Yes, same time, same place.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Kravitz.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh yeah. There's Stephen. As I said, I wouldn't mind doing a whole hour and a half with him. It's just our discussions just get so good, and he's so easy to talk to. He's wonderful. By the way, tomorrow night, Will Durst. We did an interview with him last Saturday, and Will Durst, who is still in a hospital bed, will be here. So you might check in for that. I think that you'll find it interesting. We kind of get an update on how he's doing, and so on and so forth. Okay, let me admit all these people here dying to get onto this program for God knows what reason. And wait until we got them all in here. There we go. Okay. And we got, let's see here. Jeff Stein doesn't have a picture right now. And we're being joined by Vernon Nunn. Over there, we got William Ferguson. We got Charlie Wallace. My God, as I live and breathe. No baseball tonight, huh?
Nope.
Not
for the next 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah, truckers. No, next 2 weeks. So we'll have you for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do have games Friday, and then I'm done until the end of September.
Oh, good. Well, I'm great. However, I will be off for 1 week. What week?
Just my luck.
No, the last week of this month, which last week in September. Mainly because I'm having my eyes done, and I don't want to do a show the first couple of nights with the eyes the way they are. And they're going to look ugly. They're going to look horrible anyway by the time we get into the next week. But I'll wear dark glasses at that point, and I think I'll probably be ready to do a show. you know. Jeff, are you there?
I'm here.
No picture.
We have no picture,
No
Jeff.
picture?
No.
Well,
What the hell did I do?
You probably had turned your camera off. Here, wait, I'll send you a message here.
I guess so.
I'll send you a message to turn on your picture. Wait a minute. Ask to start video. Okay, did you just get that?
Okay.
Okay. And let's see if that works. That works. See?
Ta-da. Hey.
Ba-da-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Amazing.
Yeah. Isn't technology terrific? Where's that audio coming from? Is it coming
Not me.
from? Is it coming from you, Jeff? Jeff, mute yourself.
I don't have anything off, so.
Mute yourself a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you. It's you, Jeff. The sound's coming from your end. You probably got the browser up. You see, and turn on your audio again.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Jeff.
Unmute yourself, Jeff.
All right.
Now it sounds okay. Yeah. Well,
I don't know what it was.
It was your browser or something.
Yeah.
It stopped.
Hey, Charlie.
I will.
Hey.
I was going to wear my Drake Equation shirt tonight in your honor, sir.
Oh man, I'm got a coffee up here. You know.
I just had mine.
And
When is your surgery, Alan?
my surgery is the 28th, I think, of the month. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I imagine it's going to be fairly painless. I don't think they want me to be in pain. So, we'll see what happens. It's, you know, supposedly the recovery isn't terrible. It's just for 3 days I have to keep my eyes iced for 3 days. So.
Well, we wish you a speedy recovery.
And if I
Alex.
don't ice them, what happens is it just takes longer for the stuff to get better. It's supposedly to help the black and blue marks and so on. It'll look like I got beat the crap out of, you know.
Irish sunglasses.
Huh?
Irish sunglasses.
I'm going to wear sunglasses, yeah.
No, Irish sunglasses.
Oh, Irish sunglasses. Okay.
I thought that was a Chicago
Yeah.
term.
Yeah, it is, actually.
Yeah. So I had a medical procedure today.
Did you?
Yeah. I got my third COVID shot.
Ah, I got my flu shot today.
Did you really? I can't get
I
my.
got my second Moderna jab today.
Yeah, I got my third, and so I guess I'm good to go. But they couldn't fill out the card because Marjorie laminated the card.
Yep.
Good for her.
Yeah, and my card too. Oh yeah, good for her. They can't. They can't. They said we haven't. We'd write in on it, but we don't have anything. So they gave us a proof of all the inoculations we've gotten over the last couple of years, and the very last one is the Moderna. So we just show that, and also I can update my my Excelsior pass in about a week. They say it takes about a week to get the information to the state. So anyway, so I got my third shot, so I guess I'm good to go. Who knows? You know, they'll probably say it doesn't work, but my arm is hurting.
Yeah.
And today I was feeling a little tired after the shot. I don't know why. I think the tiredness was. Marjorie said, well, she didn't get sick till the next day, and I seem to remember her having symptoms that day. You know. But
The next day was the worst for me.
well, let's see how I do tomorrow, because I'm supposed to go to my doctor tomorrow. Because I have to get the pre-surgical thing, you know, from him before they can do surgery on me, to say I'm fine, and I'm going to get my yearly checkup at the same time. So,
Well, my first Moderna jab was pretty rough. I had a low-grade fever and I ached all over. And,
well, that's fine. It's a small price to pay for safety.
Yeah.
right. But now, with the second jab, I feel great. Except those veterinarians at Walmart just like tore me up on my right arm.
Do you want to know something? This shot today, I mentioned it to Marjorie, and she said the same thing. We didn't even feel it.
Well, I didn't feel it going in, but I felt it going out.
You felt it coming out?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, he did something,
Yeah.
and I felt it coming out, and Boy, does my arm hurt.
Yeah, well, my arm's hurting a little bit now, and I'm feeling a little punky, But so I'll go to my doctor tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm sick," because I've had the third flu shot. I'm the only person I know who has had the third flu shot so far.
My sister.
Your sister has?
Yep.
Actually, if you live in New York, who here's anybody here from New York? Well, Connecticut. You can probably go into your pharmacy now and say, hey, in your case, Jeff, you could say, I have preconditions and so on, and give me the third shot.
8 months.
They won't let me get the third shot yet.
8 months.
8 months.
They won't let you get abortions in that state, and they won't let you vote. So what do you expect?
But I can get 10 grand if I turn somebody in.
Yeah, let's see here. Anybody want to go drive somebody to an abortion so that and we can make Charlie some money,
Hey, actually, if Charlie decides to do that, I'm going to pull up a Supreme Court decision in 1982 that said that the state of Texas cannot outsource enforcement of their state laws to individuals who are not answerable to the public.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait,
Excellent.
I know that one. It was on Jeopardy.
Larkin versus Grindel Dent. Grindel's
Oh,
Dent.
that's what you were talking. Okay.
Yes. That was in Massachusetts, and that involved a liquor license. Grindel's Den wanted to get a liquor license, but the Massachusetts law said that the church could object to it, and they could essentially veto a liquor license if the establishment was within so many 100 feet of one of their churches. And that went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, you can't do that.
They don't like competition.
They did that here in New York with porn places.
Yeah.
You couldn't be within 100 feet of a church.
But that was in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's the enforcement part that you cannot outsource.
Hold on a
You
second.
cannot, like in Texas, okay, they're saying that they are outsourcing individuals to go after anyone who helps someone get an abortion. That's outsourcing enforcement of the law to people who are not answerable to the public.
Listen, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff wrong with what's going on in Texas, and the Supreme Court didn't exactly turn it down.
No, but that was the excuse they used not to stay it.
By the way, I turned in Governor Abbott.
Did you?
Yeah. Ted Cruz. A lot of people are turning in Ted Cruz.
Wait a minute.
I turned in Governor Abbott. When that site was up, I turned him in.
William, you're not in Texas, are you?
You don't have to be in Texas to do it.
You don't have to be.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
great. Well, let's all call
Anybody in the whole country.
Oh, okay.
So I turned him in.
Did he aid and abet an abortion?
Your check's in the mail, William.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
And I promise I won't come in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's two of the famous lies.
Yeah.
How do they say "fuck you" in Hollywood? Trust me.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I think the four famous lies, the two we just said, checks in the mail, won't come in your mouth, brown is beautiful, and the fourth one, in the case of the government, we're here to help.
Well, that was a Reagan line.
That's what Reagan said. Yeah.
That was Reagan, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't you work in government, Mr. Reagan?
Yeah, and I ain't gonna help you either.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I think he was from Texas, wasn't he?
Who?
Reagan?
No.
No, Reagan from California.
No,
California.
he's actually from the Midwest.
Actually, Illinois.
I think Illinois.
Yeah.
Worked at a radio station there, and started out in radio.
Claimed to be related to Lincoln.
Huh?
He claimed to be related to Lincoln.
No, I don't think he did.
No? Okay.
No. Where do you get your information,
Probably some of it from
Phil?
the same place as you do.
Well, is that to say that I
Just
get?
my hearing aids work.
The University of Phil?
Boy, he's sure being mean tonight, isn't he?
No, not really.
No, he's just being Alan.
Just being Alan. I'm not going to be here long.
Why?
I got to go take care of my mother.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say what my father used to say to me when I say something I can't stay here long, and he said to me, "How long can you stay?" I said, "I don't know, a couple of minutes or something." Why? He says, "Why can't you leave now?"
You and I are alike with the snide comments, Alex.
No, I'm not.
Except mine are funny.
I didn't. Why can't you leave now?
Wow.
Yeah, why don't you leave now?
Bye, Alan.
See ya.
I came on because you're on the show, William. I haven't seen you since last week.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else I've seen, except for Trucker Steve.
Hmm.
Hey,
Excuse
how are
me,
you
I
doing?
I must say, Steve's looking a lot better, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is looking better, looking healthier, feeling better.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. So, any word on when you're going to get the kidney?
Nothing yet. No, COVID's holding up everything. Like the hospital where I go for dialysis, they're humming and hawing because they're waiting for the province to decide whether to give people the third shot.
Jesus, you need a
So
kid.
I have to. If I'm supposed to get a hepatitis shot,
Right.
it's one of the things I have
Well,
to
wait a minute.
get.
Let
and
me
then
ask you this: you have to get a hepatitis shot, but you have you've lost both your kidneys, haven't you? Or you lost function in both of them, or have you lost both of them?
I can still pee, so there's still. They said they were no good anymore, but I can still urinate, so I don't think they're completely dead. But
Oh, my God.
I knew you were going to say that.
What's your blood type?
A negative, I think.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd give you mine if I could, but wow. I'm sorry, man. That's wow.
Yeah. Who is?
What's yours in case we can find somebody?
Wait a minute. We have somebody new here. Turn on your microphone there, Wesley. This is Wesley Curry. Hello, Wesley. How are you?
I'm fine. Yourselves?
Fine. What made you decide to call?
Well, I'm 60 years old. I've been through enough relationships with women that I ended up single. I saw some guys my age talking,
Yeah.
and I just thought I would listen for a minute, see if it was something I might have something to say about, and just listen for a little bit.
Well,
first.
just join in on anything here. This is like, we don't have topics here. We don't.
I'm a little bit brutish. I may talk about things that if you were on an airliner, you'd be grabbing for the barf bag.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't want to upset your clam chowder.
if I'm going to throw up, I'll mute myself. Okay.
Oh, you'll fit right in just fine.
We were
here.
talking with Trucker Steve because Trucker Steve lost function in his kidneys. And so why are they giving you a hepatitis shot? I mean, can you get hepatitis if you don't have kidneys?
Yeah.
It's a vaccine I'm supposed to get for the process of getting a kidney.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So they won't give it yet until they decide if we're getting a third shot.
Okay.
Supposed to take it like a month after.
Now, have they approved the third shot in Canada?
No,
or
it has to come from the province, from the government,
Oh, I see.
and they haven't authorized it yet.
Oh,
They
okay.
haven't approved it
All
here
right.
either.
Have you been vaccinated, Wesley?
Yes, I got the Pfizer. I just got my second shot
Yeah.
about 5 days ago.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, where are you from, Wesley?
I am mostly from Chicago, where I was musical director for the Second City. I scored a feature film with Tom Arnold and Jim O'Hare, who was Gary in Parks and Recreation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took the money from the film and I wanted to write some symphonies. So I moved to my old home state, West Virginia, where the rent was the cheapest in the country and I could sit back and tell the oboes what to do without bothering anybody.
Yeah, I kind of it kind of makes me feel good listening to you because my father was a musician. He was a violinist. And, yeah, and so I grew up with music. I grew up with people in music, you know.
So you have a sophisticated ear, a little bit beyond what they play on the radio, I would hope.
I have such a sophisticated ear that I can't stand it when I hear somebody sing a clam. You know, I have this. I'll be sitting there with Marjorie watching television. There'll be some woman singing or something. I'll go, she's off key, and it drives her nuts because she can't hear it. You know, and most people can't.
I can.
You can? Yeah. But my father, he taught me a lot about music. The biggest lesson he ever gave me is there's no bad kind of music and there's no good kind of music. There's
Your
just
father wasn't around
there's
with
just
rap.
bad music and good music. You know, badly done music and well done music. So I gained an appreciation for just about every musical idiom. So.
Did your father live long enough to hear rap?
No,
Yeah.
no, he might have changed his opinion.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say.
So how long did you do stuff with the Second City?
I was with Second City in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
I was only there for one season. I was playing piano. The audience would throw up suggestions and say, we want a scene of Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Queen of England buying a chocolate candy bar. And so I would have to write the music on the piano spontaneously to go along with what the comedians were improvising on stage. I worked with Horatio Sanz personally, who was in the famous Cowbell sketch with Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, right.
He was one of the guitar players in that sketch.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of the people for Saturday Night Live came out of Second City. I mean,
most of them did. Yep.
I grew up in Chicago. I've been to Second City.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's not even a comedian.
I lived at Diversey North and Clark in that neighborhood for 10 years, right there on Clark Street, not far from Wrigley Field, about 10 blocks.
I worked in Chicago for a short time. I'm trying to remember what years. I came to New York in 1969, so it's about 1968. Okay.
Ooh.
The Chicago Convention was going on.
Yeah.
That's back when Mr. Kelly's was there where the Gibson Steakhouse is now, I think.
Yeah, and so was a mayor by the name of
Daley.
Haley, yeah.
Yeah.
The old
Jay Daley.
Senior.
Yeah, but anyway, when I was there, I got to know a guy who owned a movie theater. I think it was called the Chicago Theater. And he had turned it into a repertory house where every day he would have another double bill. But it was always great stuff. You could go in there and see these two movies, and he'd pick great movies. So I got to know him, and then afterwards we would go to Old Town, to the Old Town, to a kind of a bar there.
My stomping grounds.
And we would sit in a booth and be joined by Roger Ebert.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And these two guys between them started playing games with each other and playing trivia, movie trivia with each other. And they'd ask this question, this guy would ask that question, and they go back and forth and back and forth. Well, after about 5 sessions with these guys doing this, I started to get into it. And I started picking up trivia myself and started joining in on it, you know. And now when I watched movies, I was watching old movies with a different kind of viewpoint. I was looking for a good question, you know. And that's...
I would say it'd be difficult to stump Ebert.
Ebert was amazing. He was, but I learned everything I knew about trivia in movies from Roger Ebert. And I saw him a couple of years later when he came to New York for the opening of a movie, and he remembered me, and he remembered those sessions at in Old Town that we would have. And he also, I mentioned to him, I said, by the way, I loved your movie. And he said, what movie was that? And I said, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And he went, shh, don't tell anybody. But that's how I learned all about trivia and movies. I mean, I have a great amount of information stuffed in this head because of Roger Ebert. So, that was my best memory of Chicago. The worst memory of it was going to the demonstrations during the convention, getting tear gas. That was the worst. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, my memory of Chicago was I used to date this girl that lived not too far from Wrigley Field, and we were having sex, and just when she was about to orgasm, they had a game going, and the applause.
So you hung a big W out your window?
Yes, I
So
did.
while she was having an orgasm, you heard da 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 da.
Yeah, and everybody's cheering.
Bum 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 bum
Bum, bum,
You
bum,
got
bum.
to time it better or something. You
Yeah.
guys had to start a little later.
Yeah, yeah.
earlier.
Oh boy.
I ran into Giuliani once at Wrigley Field.
Really?
Rudy Giuliani. He was at a Cubs game, and I went up to say hello to him, and he was not a friendly person.
Oh,
He doesn't sound like he was.
No, he
You know,
wasn't.
I
a
mean,
friendly
even
person.
in his times when he was admired as the mayor of New York. I mean, you remember when he was America's mayor.
Mhm.
Now he's America's mayor, but it's the horse's ass. But anyway, I had a prostate thing for prostate cancer where they put seeds in your prostate, and the guy who
Never
put the
heard of-
seeds in my prostate was the same guy that did Rudy Giuliani's seeds when he had the prostate thing about 20 years ago. So my ass was filled with the same hand that was up to Rudy Giuliani's ass.
I
So
hear
you're
they
gonna
have
go
this-
crazy in 20 years?
I kind of feel that, if you talk about 7 degrees of separation, that's a good one. Or 6 degrees of separation.
Hopefully the doctor changed gloves between the two of you.
hopefully,
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
That was 20
Possible.
years.
It's possible that he changed gloves.
I never once mentioned to this doctor that I knew what he did, because I'm sure whenever anybody finds out, it's thanks. You could have done us a favor by screwing up.
You're in New York now?
Yeah, I've been here, God, forever. Been here since 2004.
Since I was a
What
little
part of
kid.
New York?
I live in
What part?
I live in Harlem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not the neighborhood it used to be. Every neighborhood in New York is like gentrified. And Harlem, when I first moved here, I kind of liked it because it was a little edgy, and it was just black people. And now, we were maybe the only white people in this building. And now
Oh,
there
you
are
put me in a
lots-
black neighborhood. You could just see gentrification in my wake.
Yeah.
Oh wow, a Starbucks. How did that get here?
Yeah, but what's terrible about it? What's terrible about it is that the gentrification brings with it a lack of character.
Yes, it does.
Harlem, for all the poverty that it may have had and all the negatives about it as a neighborhood, the fact was it had flavor, and it had something going for it, and it doesn't have that now. I mean, you couldn't walk the streets after 7 o'clock at night when I first moved in here. Now I can walk at 3 o'clock in the morning and not have anything to worry about.
Oakland was mostly the same way until recently.
Yeah, well, Oakland was terrible.
Oakland, most Oakland, you don't want to be walking around at 3 in the morning. So
Yeah.
it's still a very high crime city.
Still,
I mean,
hot.
it depends on where you're at in that city. So.
Well, New York, we got a lot of high crime now. I mean, we got a lot of, shootings.
Yeah, they're up in San Francisco and Oakland too.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Well, you
huh?
did something, Alex, in the arts in some way? You sound like you've got a little bit more of an adventuresome character to move into Harlem. Were you there in the 70s before the Koch era?
I would have
Was
never. I
really
would have
rough?
never. I would have never been here in the 70s.
Oh,
I mean, I lived in New York in the 70s. And then I left New York and moved to San Francisco. And then when I left San Francisco in about 2004, came back to New York to work. So, I don't know if you know my background, but I was in the radio business. And, had hit shows.
Well, if you were in New York, you may have heard of Henry Fogel, who I think was he ran the classical part of a station in New York before he became the president of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra.
That I don't know him. I don't know him.
Okay. He's told me, and I've heard that he's got the largest collection of classical CDs and albums on earth.
Really?
Yeah. He became the president of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Then he was the dean of the music school at Roosevelt there on Michigan Avenue. Now he just does consulting work, does a few classes at Roosevelt, and works on his Szechuan. He's fascinated with Szechuan cooking, and he's learning how to do that now.
Really? Oh, okay.
Ask Alex about his lovely time in Miami.
No, let's not even get into that.
Alex, don't you still have a neighbor who restores?
What? Oh, I hear. Yeah, but what were you going to say, Vernon? And he might be interested.
Don't you have a neighbor who restores Stradivarius violins?
I have a neighbor who is right across this wall from me. I could knock on the wall and he'd hear me. Who has there's a company he works for as part of, or I don't know if he owns part of it, that buy and sell and restore classic violins.
Even Strats.
So we were invited to come up for coffee, and I went up for coffee, and he said, and I mentioned my father was a violinist, and he said, then I got something to show you. And he goes into this room, and he has to, touch on the keypad to unlock the door, opens the door, takes me in, then opens up this safe and pulls out 3 violins.
Stradivarius.
He says, that's a Strad, this is a Strad, and that's a Strad.
There's only like 300 of those in the world.
I don't know how many there are, but all I know is that total amount of worth of these 3 violins that were sitting in front of me, $12 million.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
I would faint.
And I said, can I put one under my chin? And he said, sure. And he took one out, and I put it under my chin.
Oops.
And he said, you really know how to hold a violin. I said, yeah, my father was a violinist. I said, Dad would be proud of me right now. I've got a Strad under my chin. He was he was a lover of music, and he just worked. He was what you call a journeyman violin. Work a dance band one night, the next night he'd be working the symphony. The next night he'd be working the ballet. The next night he'd be working a radio show.
He was a union man.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it was I loved growing up that way because I grew up in an unusual home. No kid in the neighborhood understood what my father did. I said, he's a musician. They went, does he make money at that? And of course, he made enough money to.
I've asked that quite a bit, actually.
Are you really?
Yeah. Like, do you make any money playing music? Yeah.
Now you play music, right?
Yeah, I do. I play music. I play synthesizers and bass guitar. I'll be playing a country band one night, and the next night I'll be doing some EDM at some club somewhere. But prior to COVID, of course.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a whole lot of gigs coming my way.
By the way, speaking of COVID, I don't want to depress everybody out there with COVID talk. But the fact is, did you see the 250,000 children have COVID right now?
Yep.
No, I didn't see that.
Yes.
Unnecessarily.
27,000 in Texas alone.
And how many of them have died? I think there've been quite a few deaths.
And the other half are in Florida.
Yeah, and the whole attitude is, oh, hey, kids don't die of this. Remember when Trump told us that? Kids don't die of it, so we don't need to vaccinate them.
Oh, I had somebody tell me the other day, oh, kids don't bring home contagions and diseases. You obviously don't have any kids.
That's right.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, I've had parents say that they bring home more cooties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they
Every September.
They go to a
Sick as
classroom.
a dog because my kids brought home.
Well, they go to a school, and those
Anything
classrooms are a
school had,
petri
You
dish.
caught it, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good night. Good night, gentlemen.
Okay. Good night, Alan. Say hello to
Night,
your
Alan.
mother. Okay.
Good night, sir.
Yeah. He's got to go. He's got to go. Take care of his mother. Isn't he a good son?
Yes, he is.
I haven't even put a headstone on my mother's grave, for crying out loud.
Your
Bad
mom
son.
lived
Gonna
to be
get-
your
You
mother
need to
lived
get
a
around
long-
to that someday, Alex.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to it. I mean, I just, I talked to I don't know who I talked to, but I said that one night on the air, I said, what a bad son I am. My mother's grave still doesn't have a tombstone on it. And they said to me, neither does my mother's, that they never got around to it. I mean, if our parents were caring about us after their death, they'd get cremated. We wouldn't have to worry about, tombstone at $3,000 and a funeral at 10 and this and that. And, I mean, when my mother died, thank God I had enough money that I could pay for a funeral for her.
Well, darn me, I'm just going to stand in a nuclear bomb, not be harmed, fly through the air, land, have a twisted leg, meet Allah, Satan incarnate, tell him a little few words about a dream I had, get shot in the head, and go to heaven. Thank God it's a quick death. Thank you, Yeshua, that it's a quick death. If it were a long, drawn-out cancer, I would be looking at Dr. Kevorkian without doubt.
Yeah.
It's going to be a quickie. I want a quickie.
Yeah. Where is Dr. Kevorkian these days? He's still alive, isn't he?
No, he died.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Yeah, he died.
Oh, okay. Natural causes?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Well, gentlemen, I believe I have the most important thing to say on earth in our generation.
All right.
And I want to challenge you to listen to me for 3 or 4 minutes about it.
Uh-oh.
Because I met this old boat maker years ago, and I gave him a plum, and it turns out that he gave me his dove, and that although I'm not allowed to do it on TV, I can speak and interpret every language known to mankind, and I know some words that I'm not to say outside the house or write down on paper. Let's just say it's not blah is a mutt. I had a dream.
Okay.
And a dream I saw a valley as I was standing on a hill. On the
Okay.
right
Mhm.
and on the left, I saw trees.
Mhm.
The trees on the left, straight, no curves, no branch in a row. The trees on the right, curved, none of them straight, no branches. The trees on the right, the top leaves were palm and dark green, and the bottom half were dark green with orange red, and they had weeds under them. It was night with a full moon and a bronze aura around the moon on a starless heaven. All the stars were gone. On the horizon, I could not tell if it was morning or if it was evening. I could also not tell you where the water in the river came from or where it was going to. And though it seemed to flow towards me, the surface was still water. Curved like a letter C, wide as a street, that river. The surface like a mirror, reflecting grass growing on its banks. Between that river and the palm trees, I did see a square pit of unknown depth. And in that pit, none dead, none whole, all mixed, but not full. And there was sand that glistened like gold, but was sand under the grass. Behind the pit, I did see 2 creatures, short with enormous heads and pointing ears. And the ghoul, not a ghoul, creature, on the right holding a Caucasian leg of a man. And on the foot of that Caucasian leg of the man, I saw a very clean white sock. And I saw a dirty, dusty, fashionable black shoe. So fashionable it was, it had a square toe. And I watched that creature cut the foot of that leg off on a spinning saw. And then I saw the other creature, who looked just like him, smile at me. And they enjoyed it. They liked doing that. But neither one said any words. And the only sound I heard in that valley of vision was the whirring, which was perfectly honed. It was silver. It was gold, into circles made only for cutting. And they spun of themselves, and they formed a crooked path. And they were all parallel, and they were all half up and half in the ground. And they were all bigger than my outstretched arms. And they were no straight line. It was a zigzag line.
How long?
And those two creatures,
Wesley,
they mean something.
Wesley.
And there was green grass.
Wesley.
Yes, sir.
How long does this go on?
That's it.
Too long.
I saw green grass.
Oh, okay. Because I don't usually let people read stuff on the show.
I'm making it up as off the top of my head.
Really? Really? Because it
Well, I've
sounded
only
like
said it about 10,000 times.
Oh,
so
I see.
I'm going to get it memorized one of these days.
Okay, all right. Then as long as you weren't reading it, fair is
Nope.
fair. You know, I always made it a policy in my radio programs never let anybody read stuff.
Sure.
Because it always became rather elongated and boring, and they wouldn't stop. They just kept reading and reading and reading. But
I know
no diss to you. You were doing it off the top of your head, so I can't fault you for that. Yes.
So I'm going to challenge and ask all of you, would you say I saw green grass in a dream from Jesus? And that's all I ask you to say. And what that will do.
Well, I'm Jewish and Jesus doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, well, I understand that completely. Do you know the pledge of the man of the earth?
Yeah, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. Charlie has something he wants to say here.
I just wanted to, first of all, I'm an atheist, so Jesus doesn't speak through me either.
He doesn't speak to me much either.
Jack Kevorkian died in June the 3rd, 2011.
Yep. Oh, God, I missed that one. But you know something? We got to have a place where you can go and find out who's dead. Because I sit around and
I don't
go
think anybody ever dies. It's possible that no one dies.
Well, no, but
you had a segment. You had a segment on your show, didn't you? Where you and Albert.
We go through.
Yeah.
Where what?
These are the people who
You had a
died.
segment on your show.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. I want to hear Verna. You mean a radio show?
On your show on Sirius,
Yeah.
you and Albert used to do. These are people who died.
Well, yeah. Here, let me see.
Well, he
here.
did that on the Quake.
What?
You did that on the Quake.
Yeah, what?
You and Joe Rogelski, we're gonna read off the list of names of the people who died, and you had this big echo.
Yeah, I got to stop it though.
Rogelski
Otherwise, I'll get a note from YouTube. Oh, you can't use that. That's copywritten music. Hello to Jack Bishop. Hi, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Jack.
Heard you talking about, excuse me, heard you talking about you hadn't gotten a gravestone for your mother. I think my mom died before yours did, and I haven't done that either. And every few weeks, I think, I ought to do that. But the woman's been dead for 37 years.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not even, I know where I know what town she's in, but I don't know what graveyard she's in.
Oh, my mother would never forgive me.
I just looked up.
My mother's gravestone before she died.
I found out where my mother is buried. My father is buried, and I know she's buried right next to him. But I make the old joke about the fact that I just never got around to a tombstone because she's right next to my father, and I thought maybe I should pull my father's tombstone. and put up one larger tombstone to cover both graves, which is what a lot of people do. And I just couldn't figure out what to write on it. And then it hit me one day, and I've been thinking about doing it. And what I was going to say is, here lies Alex and Ruth Schwarzman, parents of, and then in big letters, Alex Bennett.
Me. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Had my mother not been cremated, I think her tombstone would have said, "I'm going to hell. That's where all my friends are."
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Well, heaven is such a boring place anyway, you know.
Well,
What's that old joke? Is somebody who died and went to heaven and they had dinner with God, and God was serving, like, celery and all these little. They didn't do lunch; they grazed basically. And the guy looks down and he sees the people in hell. They're like eating like roast beef and this big banquet and having a grand old time. And the guy says, "Hey, what's up with down with hell down there?" And he says, "Do you know what I got to go through to cook for 2 people?"
where was it? I think I can't remember where it was.
Here in the Lone Star State of Texas, we always remind each other about why the devil is in hell.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, do you know why? Because you're here in Texas.
I can tell you.
Okay. All right. Somebody tell me.
Because he wouldn't tell the vision that I just told you guys.
Now, the devil stays in hell because Texas is too damn hot in the summertime.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I know people from Port Arthur during the summertime. They're just like, "What the hell are we doing in Port Arthur?"
Hey, the folks here in Dallas, I've been in Dallas now for 2/3 of my life, and every summer I say to myself, why in the hell am I still here?
You were a San Francisco boy.
Yeah.
Why didn't you stay there?
You want to know
how is San Francisco?
Well, you should ask me the same
in
question.
San Francisco, because I considered moving there. It seemed very appealing on the surface.
I love San Francisco, but I was always considered the kid in radio, and I wanted to get away from being considered this kid that was, the overnight kid, or before that, just the weekend kid. And Alex had already taken off for parts unknown, and as fate would have it, in 1967, I moved to Houston, and the first voice I heard on the radio was my old friend Alex Bennett, who I had met, and he gets tired of me bringing this up, but I met him when I was 13 or 14 years old, and he was probably about 18, and that's our history, although he'd like to forget it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but no. I remember meeting, hanging out with you in Houston. That's where we really became real friends.
Yeah.
And talking to you over the years, and I think you visited my apartment here in New York on one occasion.
Well, when you were living in Riverdale.
Yeah.
Not Riverdale, but the Bronx.
No, that was Riverdale.
That was Riverdale?
Yeah, I was up there with Archie and Veronica.
Hey, tell that to my wife. She still loves Archie.
Yeah. Do you watch Riverdale then?
No, I've told her about it, but she's one of those intellectuals.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Charlie has his hand up. Yes, Charlie.
Yeah, every time I walk through the University of Texas campus, I remember exactly why I'm in Texas in the summer.
Why?
Co-eds don't wear anything.
Oh, in that case, Charlie, we got to take you. Got to take you to what's that city just around Santa Rosa? It's Inverness, where people are known for going naked all over their neighborhood.
No, they don't.
Some of these people have aged out in Inverness, though, Jack.
That's an old. Yeah, now they're all sagging.
Yeah.
Well, aren't we all?
Yes.
Some of us are.
Some of us more than others.
Speak for yourself. I've lost my mind but kept my body. No.
Well, speak for yourself. I've lost my body. I lost my body and kept my mind. Or maybe it's the other way.
Yeah, well, I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Well, can't remember is the second thing to stop working.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I mean, it's how you feeling? You feeling better?
How am I feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I went to my regular doctor today. First time he's seen me since I had my 2 great falls and contusion and all of that.
Right.
And after I wished him Happy New Year, which I haven't done for you, he said to me, well, how did all this happen? And I said, well, I got dizzy and I fell one day, and then a few days later I got dizzy and I fell. And he said, I think your friend Alex Bennett, who I just told him about, that you had diagnosed my condition, I said, I think he's right. And, he said, let's take a look at everything you're taking. And I was taking 3 drugs that lower your blood pressure.
Yeah, that's it.
Plus, I had lost over 35 pounds, which lowers your blood pressure. And he said, you were doing good to just be able to walk around a little bit. And I said, well, the only thing that bothers me now is my wife says she's going to take my car keys away from me because she doesn't drive it.
Yeah.
We're fighting about that around now.
Well, I think that you should think about it in the short term. If you don't pass out anymore, then you don't have to really worry about it.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
I was passing out on Prevestatin for when they first put me on it.
Well, that's what. No, I wasn't passing out on Prevestatin. I was passing out because of lisinopril, and also I take metropolol. And I also a cousin of mine who's a pharmacist, who I was telling all this to over the weekend, and got informed that my Flomax, the old man pee pill, said that lowers your blood pressure.
Well, I'm taking Flomax, but I'm also taking Cialis, so I'm taking a double dose of that kind of thing every day, and I think that's why I'm so lightheaded. Today I'm a little lightheaded because I had my 3rd shot, but the problem with me was, I think, had to do a bit with Flomax and the fact that it lowers your blood pressure.
Goes down.
Yeah. So.
But I got great news today. Haven't felt dizzy or lightheaded or anything, and but they weighed me today, and I've lost 35 pounds since January. Which means that I now weigh 10 pounds more than I weighed in 1967.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
And I feel good too.
Well, I lost 60 pounds, and I've gained back about 30 of it. But a lot of that has to do from the operation that I had. Things like that. Anyway, so we're getting towards the end of our time here. So this is like Alex Bennett's waiting room. The doctor will see you now. But of course we have Trucker Steve, and Trucker Steve is waiting for. He's taking dialysis and waiting for kidneys.
A good thing.
Kind of like waiting for Godot, I guess. And. Charlie has diabetes, missing several toes, and anybody else? Oh yeah, of course. We have Jeff. He's got like a bunch of artificial hearts in his body or something like that. And of course, Jack has his problems. Oh, Vernon, you had prostate cancer.
Yes, but I'm recovered.
Right? So have I, pretty much.
Yeah, they caught it early. They caught it early, and the last 4 or 5 PSA tests that I've had, it was less than 1.
My last 2 have been 0.
Well, because you don't have a prostate.
No, I have a prostate.
You still do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All they did was put seeds in it, and they're
I
growing now.
I
And
was under
trees
the
are
impression they yanked it
a
from
tree
you.
is blooming out of my ass. You know. How about you, Wesley? You got any medical problems?
Yeah, I've been spending $320 a month on this blood pressure medicine and metformin for my diabetes. And I'm also on a cholesterol.
See?
Those are my 3 pills. But fortunately, with the insurance, I'm getting a $320 bottle of, I think it's Lavitin or Lavotin or something like that.
Yeah.
For about $1.
Okay. Well, then that's cool.
Man, those pharmacy guys are gouging. There's just no way that.
Well, they're not. They're not. Although
pills of something cost $320 to make.
You know what to try? I've been doing it. I'm buying all my drugs without insurance from Costco mail-in pharmacy. Because their prices are cheaper than I can get down the street at Walgreens with insurance.
That's where I go Walgreens with Medicare. So,
yeah.
For Medicaid.
So, I always suggest that people go to Costco. It really is. It really has saved me a lot of money. Where it saves me money is that I pay the insurance every month. Okay, so that's one cost. And then another part of that cost is the $450 deductible at the beginning of the year, which is added to everything that I buy. Okay, if I do away with, if I take that all into consideration, it's much cheaper to buy without medical coverage, drug coverage at Costco. It's just it saved me a lot of money. Give you an example quickly. One pill I take, which is a generic for Cialis, that I took, my insurance won't even cover. Okay, and if I want to buy it, it's going to cost me $425 for 3 months, I think. Do you know what it is at Costco? $25 for 3 months.
I was going to say 20, but that's close.
Yeah, $25. Now
I pay zero for it.
What's happening at these at Walgreens?
I paid $32 for my Viagra.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have?
I'm getting the generic.
The generic Viagra. Is it? What is it called? Yeah. What's it called?
Generic Viagra.
Yeah. Generic. Hold on.
It gives you a generic boner.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Atorvastatin and Losartan.
Wow.
What I'm on.
Oh, I take Losartan.
Denafil.
High blood pressure. Yeah.
Really? I take the generic Cialis called Tadalafil.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I take that too, and it's free because I worked for the state for 30 years.
Oh, good. For me, it's only $25 for 3 months.
Wow.
And Alex, I know that you worry that when we start talking about these kinds of things that we have no young listeners, but I look at it this way. We're just telling young men what you got to look forward to.
Yeah.
I wish someone had told me when I was young, man.
We are men of a certain age.
Yes.
Jack's got
That was a great TV show, by the way.
That was our life story,
okay.
I think.
Jack's got to go, so I got to say goodbye to him first.
Now,
Okay.
listen, all of you guys that want to keep talking about your Viagra, your Cialis, your Levitra, whatever you got.
I had a maid
All
once.
I
had a cleaning woman once named Levitra.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think George Kingfish Stevens had a woman named Sapphire, and I was looking for a joke there.
There's no joke. There's no joke.
Yeah. See you in about 60 seconds.
Okay, bye-bye. And you have to use Skype to get to him. Okay. Hey, I want to thank first of all our good friend William Ferguson for being here tonight. Charlie.
Thank you, Howard.
Bravo, Charlie. I'm so happy. Maybe, that you're back. Trucker Steve, always good to see you. Always thinking about you. Always hoping, that you're going to be just fine, and I'm sure you will. Vernon Nunn, terrific. Hey, Wesley, call again, will you?
I hope too. This has been just a wonderful meeting.
Yeah, I hope you didn't think it was the most wonderful thing that's happened to you lately, because if so, you're in bad shape. And finally, Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Hopefully some of them will go over and join Jack Bishop, who is next with the what do you call it, the intersection. I'm Alex Bennett. I will be back here again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? And by the way, get the vaccine or wear a mask.